So one of the first stretches we are going to look at on our simple stretching series is looking at hip flexors, so opening the hip flexors with regard to low back pain. So when it comes to people complaining to me about aches and pains they have, most of the aches and pains that we hear about are from the low back. And the problem with low back pain is it's not always necessarily the low back itself that's causing pain, but it could be one of the structures around it. And if we think about the low back, there's lots of things tying and surrounding into the low back. So we can look at things like the quadricep, which connects to the hip flexor. The hip flexor goes through the pelvis and connects to the low back. The hamstrings, of course, come up through the back of the leg, and that fascial line comes over the low back. If the glutes are tight, you can pull on the pelvis. There is tons of things and structures which can pull our pelvis out of alignment and give us low back discomfort. The problem with hip flexors is that hip flexors are really a product of, I suppose adaptation is the best word. If you spend a lot of your time sitting at a desk in an office, which is completely normal, most people do have sedentary jobs these days, your hip flexor will then realize that, oh, this is the only really the range of motion that I'm in most commonly, so why do I need to be super flexible when I spend most of my day in this position? So if you do find that you have super tight hips and we're looking to stretch them, this is probably the easiest way to do it. So you'll find here that with the stretches that we're going to show you guys is that you don't really need much equipment, if any at all, and the main reason behind that is hopefully that means you will be more inclined to do them. So when it comes to the stretch we're going to do for the hip flexors, this is a take on the very commonly known couch stretch that has been popularized by Dr. Kelly Starrett. The problem I find with the couch stretch is that for beginners, people with super tight hips, it can be a little aggressive. So what we're going to talk about is how to make it a little bit nicer and then make that stretch a little bit more intense as you get more comfortable with it. So first thing I need to think about is pick a leg. Hi cameraman. Pick a leg that I'm going to stretch. I'm going to start with this left guide. And I'm going to put my toe on what I imagine to be the edge of the couch at home. Most people have a couch. If you don't have a couch, have a chair, use a stair, whatever is nice and isn't going to smash into your foot. From here, what's commonly prescribed is having the shin angle to be vertical. I find if people do that at first, it's way too intense. So as you can see here, I've got approximately about a 45-degree angle with the shin, and this is how I'm going to start my stretch. From here, I'm going to have my feet in a lunge position, so I've got a nice base of support, so my feet and legs are on train tracks. And from here, all I'm going to do is lead by pushing the hip forward, squeezing the glute on this side, and trying to press that pelvis forwards. So I can feel a nice stretch up the front of the quad into the hip flexor. I've got to make sure the torso is nice and upright. If you find that balance is an issue, you can hold onto a post, have a box, grab onto a stick, whatever it may be to help you balance. I would say if this is easy for you, a way to make it more intense is look at that shin angle. Can I bring the knee back and get that shin more vertical? So when it comes to this stretch, we should be thinking at least 2 minutes per side. 30 seconds is really just pain compliance, your body learning how to deal with it. So I would say 2 minutes per leg at least, maximum of 5, depending how dangerous you're feeling. So let's say 2 minutes per side. And that is how you can stretch your hip flexors.